Exactly 1 o'clock on the nose. You're right on time for the day's reports in general news, business and sports. This is KBC Lunchtime News. I'm Doreen Arange. We begin this live broadcast in Kilifi County, where residents of Rabai constituency took to the streets on Friday to protest the shortage of clean piped water for the past month. The demonstrators marched to the offices of Kilifi Mariakani Water and Sewerage Company, Kimawasco, accusing the company of negligence. The Water Authority, however, has blamed the crisis on power debts and pipeline leakages, assuring residents that the situation will soon be resolved.
Hapo nyuma kidogo kulikuwa mambo na rationing, maji yalikuwa yanapatikana kama mara 3 kwa wiki. Ni kitu gani ambacho kimetokea kufikia sasa hivi? Sasa hivi maji yamekuwa yamepotea kabisa.
Kwa nini tunalipa bili za maji mifereji yetu? Kila mwezi tunaletewa bili za maji na hakuna maji miezi, miaka, maeneo mengine hata mita zimekatika kabisa, pipe zimekatika kabisa.
Kimawasco I produce maji. Kimawasco inanunua maji kutoka kwa Coast Water. Changamoto kubwa ambayo iko ni mzima pipeline yenyewe haiko katika ubora wake.
Majority of murder cases in Nyamira County are linked to land succession disputes arising from population pressure against small, fragmented land. Speaking in Nyamira County during the 43rd Jukwaa Usalama Grassroots Security Engagement, Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen cited the South Nyanza region where the elderly are killed in the disguise of elimination of witchcraft practices.
There are too many land cases, of course competition for very fertile but then scarce land resources leads to a lot of unresolved cases of murder. Some are still pending. There is a concern that we need to work closely with the judiciary to make sure that reported cases are taken seriously and the victims are, the perpetrators are given stringent bail terms, but also that these cases are resolved very fast so that they can help us avert other cases.
To some education matters now, the Kenya Union of Domestic Hotels, Educational Institutions and Allied Workers, KUDEHA, has suspended its nationwide strike for its 120,000 members in all public universities to allow for dialogue. And this just comes as the Education Ministry committed to paying the pending 2.73 billion Kenyan shillings in salary arrears alongside September allowances.
And allied workers, KUDEHA, the University's Academic Staff Union, UASU, the Kenya University Staff Union, KUSU, began their countrywide strike over salary arrears and an implemented collective bargaining agreement. KUDEHA Secretary General Albert Njeru is now calling on members to report to work on Monday.
Information on our custody and with the consultations from highest offices, we are now calling our public university non-teaching staff represented by KUDEHA that we are suspending the strike, and we are requesting them to forthwith report in their respective areas and work as directed by the management.
KUDEHA's move follows orders issued by the Nairobi Employment and Labor Relations Court Justice Stephen Radido, suspending the strike pending a hearing on October 15, 2025.
But we want to warn the government and above all IPCCF that in event this money will not hit our accounts of arrears by the end of this month, be assured, on the 6th of October, even before the courts give us the direction, we are there to make sure that we are paid pesa pap.
Both teaching and non-teaching staff in all public universities started a nationwide strike on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Kamchemenza for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, residents of Raka Town in Kiambu County are expressing concern over a building in the area whose construction continues despite having developed cracks. The residents, led by former Senior Chief George Munywa, say the construction of the 6-story building has also encroached into their private property, destroying crops and perimeter walls. They claimed reports to the county government and National Construction Authority, the National Environmental Management Authority, and the police have been ignored.
Nyumba ilikuwa imewekwa X. Tukafikiria serikali inafanya kazi. Kumbe itakuja kuwekwa mandoido ingine ati iwekwe chuma iwe inaongezwa nguvu. Na hii nguvu inaonekana tu bado inalala pande ile hiyo nyumba.
There was a crack that shook and the neighbors, the workers ran out, and the council came and put some marks. It's slanted, especially from the 5th floor.
Tuko na hofu kwa sababu kama mimi kwangu wakati wanajenga hawajaweza kufunika hii nyumba na ile net. Kwa hivyo ile uchafu yote ambayo inatoka kwa nyumba imekuwa ikituangukia sisi kwa nyumba yetu, na tuko na watoto.
Kagaene residents in Meru County have decried the poor state of roads in the area and demanded that they be tarmacked. They said businesses at Kagaene Market are suffering, with some having closed due to the poor road network as their perishable goods go to waste. They also urged the government to tarmac Kagaene Miomboni Road.
Sisi kama wananchi tumejitokeza hapa siku ya leo kwa sababu ya njia ya kutoka Kagaene Sentani Miomboni. Hii njia iko na vumbi sana, mtunga alilima. Kwa hivyo kulima hakuna kitu alifanya, aliharibu njia kabisa. Kwa hivyo hakuna mtu anapita, wanabiashara, akina mama, wanafunzi, hakuna mtu anapita na hii njia.
Hata wale wanauza manguo walifunga, ndio zile maduka zimefungwa, booster limefungwa, hakuna biashara inaendelea hii sababu ya vumbi. Sasa tunaomba serikali, Bwana Ruto, tafadhali tusikie kilio yetu ya watu wa Tiana West.
The Kajiado County Lands Department is calling on the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, to probe an alleged fraudulent subdivision and processing of illegal title deeds for the Kibiko land registered in trust for the Ilekonyeke community. The land, worth about 10 billion shillings, has long been marred by wrangles between two rival groups, with the Kajiado Environment and Land Court recently ruling in favor of one faction. Land County Executive Committee member Hamilton Paraisana is now accusing officials at Ardhi House and a section of politicians of orchestrating fraud in the issuance of title deeds, warning that the scheme could disinherit rightful members and trigger anarchy.
A dedicated scheme to grab the Kibiko land. The proxies they were using were registered, yet they know those were not the elected officials. We have a chairman who has been holding the title deed from 2012, and then you have a judge seated here in Kajiado issuing out an order that this chairman should hand over the title deed within 72 hours.
Three newly appointed County Executive Committee members in Isiolo County have been urged to focus on service delivery and uphold integrity as they assume their new roles in Governor Abdi Guyo's reshuffled cabinet. The swearing-in comes in barely months after the governor survived an impeachment attempt. Residents and elders have welcomed the inclusion of youthful leaders in the executive and called for unity across all communities.
As much as we are in a political environment, the Wananchi deserve to be served well and efficiently. The new CECs who are here, they are young, inclusivity has been considered. I believe they bring in new energy so that our county will just continue prospering well.
The Community Probation Volunteers Project, an initiative that seeks to entrench best practices in community-based crime prevention, has received donation of 3 vehicles to ease mobility for probation officers and community volunteers. Speaking during the handover ceremony at Makadara Boys Probation Hostel, Correctional Services PS, Dr. Salome Biako said the donation by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, will enhance the supervision, rehabilitation, and integration efforts of children and young persons in conflict with the law. The vehicles will be deployed in Siaya, Machakos, and Kiambu counties as part of the ongoing efforts to reform the correctional system.
We are dispatching the 3 Japanese experts supporting the PAC's activities to disseminate the CPV community probation volunteer model to the 4 pilot counties. So in JICA office, we are monitoring and supervising the activities.
And this program is borrowed from the Japanese program called Hogoshi, which is use of the communities, the members of the community, respected members of the communities, to come and help rehabilitate offenders serving non-custodial sentences by use of these community volunteers. And we are very, very happy that the response from the communities where we have piloted, that is Kisumu, Siaya, Kiambu, and Machakos, the response has been very, very positive. In fact, I think we have more volunteers than we are able to accommodate. The response has been very positive to the offenders. Number one, many of the offenders now feel that they can be reintegrated back into society. They feel that they are being accepted into the community. They feel a sense of hope. And this speaks to our motto as probation officers, that people can change.
Police in Maralal Town, Samburu County, have arrested a suspect linked to the rise in cases of robbery with violence in the area. The area police boss, Martin Otieno, says the 20-year-old suspect was captured by CCTV cameras committing the crime, calling on the area residents to install the cameras in their business premises. The area residents called on their leaders to intervene and assure them of their safety.
And we have beefed up security and wish to dispel the fear that Maralal or Samburu is unsafe for the business people.
Tungependa tu serikali tuhakikishie usalama wetu na biashara zetu, kwa sababu watu wanachapo mchana sana hapa tauni, na watu wamechukua madeni, maloni ni mingi, na inabidi sasa watu wafunge biashara mapema, na si vizuri.
Tuko na shida ya usalama. Juzi mmoja wetu juzi amefahamiwa hapa kwa duka, akaibiwa na akapigwa risasi. Tuko na hiyo shida. Haya, then kitu ya pili ni mambo na stima. Stima kabisa imekuwa kabisa tatizo kwetu kabisa. Inakuwa inapotea, na imagine tumechukua loans ya kuweka business.
Leaders from Kenyan Peasants League, Civil Society Reference Group Kenya, and SIDS Institute of Research and Consultancy Africa have pledged to organize over 500 community groups in 10 counties in a joint initiative program aimed at promoting peasant agroecology in the 2026-2027 budget-making cycle. Meanwhile, in Mombasa, small-scale traders have protested against the Tobacco Control Amendment Bill 2024, warning it risks crippling their businesses.
While in a meeting in Naivasha, the group that included leaders from Kenyan Peasants League, Civil Society Reference Group Kenya, and Seed Institute of Research and Consultancy Africa noted that the initiative would not only offer ready market for farmer produce by linking smallholder food producers and consumer directly, but also transform local food systems.
And we are calling upon our government also to work with other government to ensure that now we are developing good policies that are in line with the struggle of sisi kama wakulima wadogo.
Elsewhere in Homa Bay, the government of Israel, through its embassy in Nairobi, has partnered with Kenyan scientists and the county government of Homa Bay in a new initiative to fight bilharzia.
200 million people worldwide, most of them in Africa. They all suffer from bilharzia, and it's awful. We have witnessed here how the snails that carry this parasite are here in the water just everywhere.
In Isiolo, members of the Isiolo Central Farmers Cooperative Society took the street of Isiolo town on Thursday, holding protests to demand justice for what they claim is decades of financial mismanagement and embezzlement by the cooperative's officials.
Serikali ingilie na ivunje ile kamati iko kwa saa hii ili isiweze kuendelea zaidi na wauze hii cooperative.
Elsewhere in Kiambu, residents in Ruaka town are living in fear of a construction building that has started having cracks on the wall in the center of the road.
Nyumba ilikuwa imewekwa X. Tukafikiria serikali inafanya kazi. Kumbe itakuja kuwekwa mandoido ingine ati iwekwe chuma iwe inaongezwa nguvu. Na hii nguvu inaonekana tu bado.
Meanwhile, in Mombasa, small-scale traders in Mombasa have protested against the Tobacco Control Amendment Bill 2024, warning that if passed in its current form, the bill will cripple their business and push many out of the market.
We need the public participation to be brought down to us, to be done in every county, at least for us also to give our own input. Because the way they are put it is like, this tobacco, it will favor only for their big business owners.
In Kisii, leaders from the Gusii region have urged residents to reject politicians who promote ethnic division and hatred.
Tukileta siasa ya ukabila hapa, watu wetu ambao wako Mombasa, mnataka waende wapi? Watu wetu ambao wako Molo, mnataka waende wapi? Watu wetu ambao wako Nakuru, mnataka waende wapi? Na Thika, na kila mahali.
Still in Kisii, a House of Bishops have demanded inclusivity to bridge the gaps in service delivery, both in county and national government. Executive Chair Bishop Robert Nyamwange termed the gaps which are to be achieved as wanting. In Kakamega, the county government has signed a partnership agreement with the French government to fund a nutrition program for primary school students in the county.
We intend to provide meals to 25,000 children from vulnerable families within the county.
All right, now we want to check in with our very own Alan Aoko, who is in South Sea here in Nairobi, where quantity surveyors, architects as well as environmental experts are meeting to just discuss on better ways to foster best practices in the construction industry. Aoko, you have been on this meeting since early morning. What is coming out from the discussions? What more can you tell us?
Thank you very much, Doreen, here at the Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors at the Continuous Professional Development Seminar 2025 in September. We are meeting with the built environment professionals, and this is the second day that we've come from the summary of yesterday's sessions, where we talked about upskilling and training, and we talked about personal branding. Today we move on as well to just gloss over as well the nitty-gritties of this profession when it comes to how they're perceived with the public and what we can do to improve professionalism of the professionals in this sector. And also, let me introduce someone who can speak a bit more about the profession. He actually had a session earlier. He'll talk to us about what the session was about and what to do going forward for the profession. Welcome, and maybe introduce yourself to our viewers quickly so that we understand why you are here and what's happening in the seminar hall.
Thank you very much. My name is Architect Jack Gitonga, and I also sit in the Ethics and Practice Committee under the Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors. So to highlight on what we were discussing earlier today, we were discussing ethics in practice. And the reason we need to discuss ethics is because architects and quantity surveyors owe their clients a certain duty of care, and they equally owe fellow consultants a certain responsibility, hence the need to discuss ethics. The board is mainly anchored on the Architects and Quantity Surveyors Act, CAP 525, under the laws of Kenya. And within that CAP and other subsidiary legislations, it is there's guidance on what architects and quantity surveyors ought to do to remain relevant in the industry, and also to be fair to fellow professionals, as well as to guide clients the right way in terms of design, function, as well as managing costs during construction.
Indeed, often we hear sometimes challenges in construction, issues arising. Perhaps how are we streamlining the profession to safeguard against these issues that come about from construction issues?
So there are two dimensions to this. One, there is what the board is doing to ensure that there is fairness between the professionals, as well as proper service to the clients. But equally, for all developers out there, it is very important to make sure that you engage registered architects and quantity surveyors, as well as engineers and other professionals, whenever you have a development. And if you are not sure where to get those details, the board has a website, and there is a register where you can see who are the registered architects and quantity surveyors.
Indeed, thank you very much for speaking to us. We wish we had a lot more time to speak about this, but let's also get an overview of the 2 days that we've had and the takeaway from this seminar by speaking with the CEO of Borax, Mr. Mongera Rukaria. Welcome, and talk to us about the take-home from the professionals we have in the next room.
Thank you. My name is Mongera Rukaria. I'm the CEO of the Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors. And we have been here from yesterday, Thursday, 18th, to train and develop capacity for architects and quantity surveyors in Kenya, so that they can be more competitive in terms of their business, in their practice of architecture and quantity surveying. We have noted that we have a lot, like architects and quantity surveyors, we have a lot of knowledge on our business, but we also need to be empowered on other services when it comes to ease of making business. When it comes to the practice, you need to be empowered on communication, you need to be empowered on branding of your services, you need to be empowered on presentation making, and many other things that require to be empowered, and especially on this matter of technology development, where we have to be trained as architects and quantity surveyors on matters AI and technology. One of the things that I wish to notify as, or rather to Kenyans, is that we need, as Kenyans, to make sure that we have engaged the right professionals for the right job. When it comes to matters construction, please ensure that you engage an architect, and ensure you engage a quantity surveyor, ensure that you engage an engineer, so that your building can stand. And this way, we are going to stop this matter of collapsing of the buildings. Finally, I wish to note that in Kenya, we have capacity in terms of training. We have 5 universities currently in Kenya which are training architects, which is University of Nairobi, we have JKUAT, we have KU, we have Technical University of Kenya and Technical University of Mombasa. For quantity surveying, we have University of Nairobi again, and we have JKU Arts, and we have Technical University of Kenya. And I wish to inform Kenyans, please, when it comes to training of the architects and quantity surveyors, those are the approved and qualified institutions for the training currently in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your insight. And Doreen, as you've seen, we've learned a lot about the profession. Many people would say maybe they don't know a lot about quantity surveyors and architects and what they do. But you've been advised, even you, Doreen, if you want to have this built-up environment around you or build a house, engage the correct professionals, and you can also look them up in the relevant websites. Back to you, Doreen.
Thank you very much, Alan Aoko, for that. Just him engaging a team of experts. They are looking for better way in which you can foster ensuring that the construction industry has best practices as it deserves. We'll now take a very quick breather. We come back with more, including business and sports. Don't go anywhere.
Positive change is not always sudden. Sometimes it is achieved after a long period. What matters is the effort we put individually or as a group.
Most companies, you'll find that they are not employing persons with disability, which is a sad fact.
Tunalenga kupata vijana ambao wako na ulemavu ili waweze kupitia what we call inclusive internship program. Wakipata hizo skills ama taaluma waweze kujisimamia. Differently able.
Welcome back. To some health matters, President William Ruto has officially launched the Government Social Health Authority sponsorship program aimed at supporting vulnerable households across the country. During the event at State House, Nairobi, the president emphasized the government's commitment to cushioning citizens facing economic hardships. The head of state underscored the government's commitment to improving access to healthcare and social support for all Kenyans, particularly the most vulnerable. He highlighted that the SHA plays a crucial role in coordinating health programs and ensuring that resources reach those in need. The event brought together government officials, health practitioners, and community representatives to discuss strategies for expanding healthcare access, improving service delivery, and enhancing social protection programs.
Pale nyuma, changamoto kubwa katika mahospitali zetu, dispensary, health center, mwananchi anaenda kuona daktari, mwisho anaambiwa hakuna dawa. So lazima tumalizane na mambo ya hakuna dawa.
Kama unahitaji hii ambayo inaitwa kidney transplant, SHA itaweza kukugharamia 1.12 million Kenya shillings katika huu mradi. Kama umeingia kwa bodaboda ukavunjika mguu, unahitaji upelekwe surgery ufiksiwe hiyo mguu, SHA inagharamia 300,000 ukiingia kwa hospitali.
A section of elders from Teso community have dismissed plans by Teso North MP Oku Kawunya to install himself as the community's spokesperson. Led by Frederick Adungo, the elders said the Teso community has Paul Sunday Emolot as their traditional king, who is deemed as the Teso spokesperson. The elders have now called on the Teso people to ignore tomorrow's meeting scheduled for installation of Kawunya in Amagoro.
Today we gather here to address with the utmost seriousness and concern an action that threatens the very foundation of our cultural heritage, unity and governance. It has come to our attention that our Member of Parliament, Honorable Dr. Edward Oku Kaunya, MP for Teso North constituency, intends to declare himself as the spokesperson of the Iteso community. This act is not only unconstitutional within the framework of the Iteso Cultural Union issue, but also a direct usurpation of the legitimate powers vested in the rightful king of the Iteso, His Royal Highness the Emormor, and the governing council the issue.
Sisi hatujahusishwa na katika press statement Deputy Prime Minister ametoa kinagaubaga ya kwamba sisi hatuhusiki na hata yule Emormor hatafika pale. Kama ni kujiandaa kwa siasa, wachukue mkondo wa kisiasa kufanya public participation kule nyumbani, sio ili waweze kuidhinishwa.
Confirm the spokesperson of the Iteso people is His Royal Highness Emormor Papa Iteso. His regional spokesmen on his behalf are the Deputy Prime Ministers. In Kenya, it is Frederick Adungo.
Kenya is set to fully transition to foster care by 2032, enabling children to be raised in families and communities as opposed to being raised in children's home and charitable children institutions. Foster parents will be recruited to raise children who have separated with their families for either short or long period of time. Speaking in Kakamega town, the Assistant Director Children's Services, Jen Munuhe, said that the foster care reform is a 10-year strategy developed by Kenya from 2022 to 2032, addressing three main key pillars where the government wants to ensure that children are not separated from their families: provision of alternative care for those who have separated with their families, and reintegrating children in families they have separated from.
But what we are saying, we are just transitioning care of the children from taking care of those children in the CCIs to ensuring that the same care is provided while the children are in families and in the community. So we are not telling the CCI to move out of the way. We are telling them just remain, ensure that the support that you've been getting from your donors is reinforced, ensure that you communicate with your donors and sensitize your donors to adopt the new approaches of care.
Time for some business news. And over 600,000 youth are being trained on how to apply for government jobs in a move to unlock tendering opportunities for young people. The program is part of the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement, which is a collaboration between Kenya and the World Bank. Under the 3 billion shillings program, the government targets to place those young learners, which is over 90,000 youth in various institutions, to gain valuable on-the-job experience for a period of 3 to 6 months. The initiative is anchored on the bottom-up economic model, seeking to uplift youth by equipping them with business skills and opening up access to 30% of public tenders, ring-fencing for youth, women and persons with disabilities. Speaking during the training sessions in Lugari, cooperatives and micro, small and medium enterprises Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya urged participants to take advantage of the opportunities provided to become job creators. The first phase of Nyota covers 17 counties. Phase 2 of the project is slated to start in the first quarter of 2027, targeting 30 counties.
Kama tunataka tuwe na waajiri wengi, tuwe na watu kuleta watu wale wako chini, bottom of the economic pyramid, kuwaleta juu mpaka tuweke pesa katika hii sekta. So huu mradi ambao serikali inashirikiana na World Bank Ni mradi mkubwa ambao itawezesha youth wetu karibu 1,000,000. Na phase ile ya mwisho tutakuwa tuna involve 600,000 youth kwa access government procurement system. Because government sasa ika allocate 30% of their procurement yote kwenu. Uwezi kusema huna bahati ya wewe kufanya biashara na kuendelea mbele.
More than 400,000 youth from poor families, that's actually more than 400 youth, not 1,000, in Busia County are set to benefit under the government's Youth Empowerment Opportunities Project, popularly known as Nyota, a program designed to empower vulnerable youth by addressing employment barriers. The Principal Secretary for Welfare and Small Business, Susan Mangeni, during her inspection tour of the project in the Western region, said each youth will be given 50,000 shillings for economic empowerment initiatives.
Wenye niko nao kwa wale ambao wanatembea wakiombaomba ya kwamba serikali saizi inajali maslahi ya vijana. Sasa sisi tujitokeze, tufanye biashara tuweze kujisaidia.
I'm so much thankful that I can start my own business and become a better entrepreneur in future.
I have no doubt that indeed we are going to meet the objective of this program, which is intended to help this country to create entrepreneurs who can also help the government in creating jobs, growing businesses that can at least create success, competitive and secure jobs.
Financial institutions should adopt fair pricing and move beyond traditional credit scoring by embracing alternative indicators of financial health. National Treasury's Finance and Sectoral Services Director Ronald Nyangala is calling for those in the credit space to confront structural challenges threatening the lending sector's stability and consumer well-being.
The latest FSD Kenya data indicates that 4 million Kenyans, that is 14% of the adult population, are denied loans, with mobile loans at 33.7% and mobile money providers 16.9%, leading the rejections. The report further says within the digital lending ecosystem, credit defaults are low due to the use of behavioral scoring, artificial intelligence and data from credit reference bureaus.
We not only encourage SACCOs to adopt credit information sharing to enable effective risk mitigation from the loans that they disburse to their members, in addition to their own in-house credit risk management methodologies.
They stated the high cost of credit remains tied to elevated interest rates and rising non-performing loans, citing the need to also collectively explore ways to de-risk the credit market and embrace responsible lending practices.
Banking sector, of course, has been lending to incumbent businesses, so these are formalized entities. In the informal sector, cash is still moving. It's not growing as fast, but cash is still moving, so we've actually seen a reduction in non-performing loans within the digital lending ecosystem.
They are calling for the strengthening of data sharing and integration of Hustler Fund records into CRB systems.
Kenya stands as a continental leader in financial inclusion. Kenya financial sector continues to show growth contributing to the country's GDP. This sector is key, and its continuous monitoring and support is necessary to enhance our national development.
Among the credit sector's most pressing risks are high fees, over-indebtedness, rising defaults, and aggressive recovery methods.
50 individuals will be honored during this year's Business and Leadership Awards 2025 in November here in Nairobi. The 50 individuals include bankers, industrialists, musicians, media personalities, among others. According to SBLA, the awards are committed to telling Africa's leadership story in a way that motivates others to dream bigger, lead better, and serve deeper. The event is organized by Strategic Nest Corporation in a bid to highlight outstanding achievements in leadership, business, and social impact in Kenya and beyond.
We are proud to present the Strategic Business and Leadership Awards 2025, and the aim of this is simple yet profound: to shine light on leaders and organizations making real impact, not for applause, but from a place of purpose. This recognition is not bought, it's not lobbied for, and not voted on. It's earned through demonstrated leadership, innovation, and service.
Tumeonelea kwamba ni mzuri wale watu ambao wamefanya mambo ambayo yanaweza saidia jamii, ama mambo ambayo yana ufasaha, ambayo yana umuhimu sana katika jamii. Hawa watu ni mzuri pia to recognize, ama tuseme kweli hawa watu wana impact our society.
Canada and Mexico have agreed to deepen ties, vowing closer cooperation on trade and security as both countries grapple with rising economic pressure from the U.S. following a bilateral meeting in Mexico City. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum also expressed their commitment to a shared partnership with the U.S. Here are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the borders.
Both Canada and Mexico have been hit by U.S. tariffs, 50% on Canadian steel and 25% on some Mexican pharmaceuticals. U.S. President Donald Trump has also levied a 25% fentanyl tariff on Mexico, citing border security. This is Mark Carney's first official visit to Mexico as Prime Minister, and it marks an effort to reset relations after tensions flared last year when Canadian officials were accused of seeking a separate trade deal with the U.S. during tariff talks. Canada is seeking to boost trade with Mexico. Trade between the two was valued at $40.5 billion in 2024. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of workers have taken part in a strike action across France after trade unions called for a day of protest against budget cuts. Organizers said 1 million people turned out, while the Interior Ministry put that number at 500,000, with 80,000 police officers deployed. Scuffles were reported in the cities of Lyon and Nantes, and in Paris, small-scale clashes broke out between police and protesters. Public transport was heavily disrupted on Thursday, with many metro lines in Paris reported shut, while protesters blocked roads and streets in major cities across France. Finally, India's stock marketer Regular has dismissed allegations of stock manipulation and financial fraud against billionaire Gautam Adani and his group of companies made by the US short seller Hindenburg Research. The Securities and Exchange Board of India began investigating the conglomerate in 2023 after Hindenburg Research published explosive reports causing the group a loss of more than $100 billion in market value in days. The Securities and Exchange Board dismissed these allegations against Adani's companies, saying the inquiry did not reveal any violations of
Time for some sporting action now, and the Professional Golfers of Kenya Equator Tour entered its fourth leg this week at the scenic Great Rift Valley Lodge and Golf Resort in Naivasha. The 4-day tournament brings together over 40 professional golfers from across the region as they compete and build up their ranking points to qualify for international tournaments, including the Olympic in 2028. Some key pro golfers featuring Aranduva Daniel, Wahoo David, Kibingu Njoroge, Snow Greg, Mohit Medirata, among others. So far, 3 legs have been successfully completed at Ruiru Sports Club, Limuru Country Club, and Mount Kipipiri Golf and Resort.
I think the course that was challenged was Kipipiri, because now is a new course, is a new course to most of us. We went there first time, we played, the weather was not good, it was very cold, which the other events we were playing in courses that we were familiar. So far, me, I can say we are doing well.
Erling Haaland broke another record by becoming the quickest player to score 50 Champions League goals as Manchester City were made to work hard in their opening game 2-0 victory over Napoli. Meanwhile, Marcus Rashford made a spectacular Champions League bow for Barcelona as Newcastle United's campaign got off to a losing start at St. James Park.
Champions League for Erling Haaland, and it's a record.
Time to put a cap on this live broadcast. I'm Doreen Arange. Susan Thugu has been our sign language interpreter. But as we exit, I leave you with our weekly feature, Military Tales. And the center of focus this afternoon is on one Richard Kipkorir, as prepared by our very own Ben Troy Njue. Watch.
We drive about 20 kilometers from Eldoret City to Kipsamo village in Kapseret constituency. Here we are welcomed by one former Kenya Army officer, Warrant Officer 2 retired Richard Kipkorir Tinga, who served for over 3 decades.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Richard Kipkorir Cheruiyot Tinga. Nilisaliwa Nandi district, pande wa Aldai huko Kapsabet huko.
As a young boy, Tinga joined Kapso Primary School and Samoei Secondary School before joining the army in 1978.
Niliajiriwa jeshi tarehe 1 mwezi wa 3 1978, ambaye niliandikiwa Kapsabet Nandi district na nika train Langata Barracks which is 7 care. Nikamaliza training, nikapostiwa nikaenda Nanyuki Barracks ambaye ni 10 engineers, ambaye sasa tunaweza sema tulikurutiwa ama tuliandikwa na hayati Mzee Jomo Kenyatta.
In his first assignment, he was a driver in the 10th Engineers Battalion in Nanyuki, where he also got his first promotion.
Mimi nilienda pale nikaanza kwanza kama driver, ordinary driver. In fact, nilikuwa naendesha CEO yangu ambaye ni retired Major General Warutere. 86 nilikuja Thika na hiyo rank hiyo ya corporal. 89 nikapewa rank of sergeant na kupelekwa mpaka Isiolo School of Combat Engineers. Nikakaa huko mwaka moja nikiwa nasimamia magari. After kukaa mwaka moja nikawa reposted back, nikarutishwa back to 10 engineers Nanyuki. My mother unit ambaye nilianzia na maisha yangu. Nikarutishwa hapo kutoka 89 nikaja tu nikasimamia magari. Nimewacha sasa kuendesha, sasa nikawa in charge ya transport. Mimi nikafaa rank of senior sergeant Nikiwa hiyo na nyuki hiyo, nikafaa rank of warrant officer 2, ambayo hiyo rank nilikaa naye nikiwa MTO for 15 years.
Having been employed in the 70s and served under 4 presidents, he points out the changes, especially on the welfare of soldiers over the years.
Moi wakati aliingia, pesa ikaongezwa, ikasonga juu. Wakati Kibaki aliingia, pesa ikaongezwa, ikasonga juu. Wakati Jusi Uhuru ameingia, pesa imeongezwa. Wakati huo mambo ya panga haikukua. Yes, tulikuwa tuna save pesa kwa posta.
34 years in the forces, he points out match and shoot exercises as the most intense that tried every soldier to the core during his illustrious career.
Match and shoot tulitrain Isiolo, but nilienda match and shoot ambaye nilienda wakati nilirudi kambi, hata nilikuwa nimechange, nilikuwa nimekuwa nyeusi, mambo ya kuwa brown iliisha. Yani nikifika tunatembea usiku na mchana, ambaye tukiletewa hata chakula ati hii ni lunch, mimi natafuta mahali iko kifuli na usingizi. Chakula haingii. Mnapumzika mchana, lakini ikifika saa 12 jioni, mwendo wenu ni ya usiku mpaka kesho asubuhi. Hakuna kufunga macho na mnai. Mnaweza toka, tuseme kutoka Eldoreti, mwende mpaka Nakuru ama over Nakuru, bio Nakuru, bila kufunga macho na mnai, bila kupumzika. Uko na misiko yako umepepa, uko na punduki umepepa, uko na risasi yako umepepa, na hivi vitu yote ni nzito. So unaenda mpaka mguu umefaa kiato namna umefaa, lakini mguu chini inachupuka.
In 2005, Tinga was among soldiers in the United Nations Peace Mission in Eritrea and reminds Kenyans on the essence of peace.
Kama inawezekana tuishi na amani namna tunaishi, pale watu wako na shida, hawana amani, wako na shida, kila kitu ni shida, kupata chakula ni tabu, pale hakuna mambo ya kusema ati iko sheria, watu wanauana. Kuua mtu sio problem, uko kuua mtu sio shida. Tukiwa wana Kenya tunakaa vizuri, ambaye mimi hata kama nimekuja nyumbani ningewaomba ya kwamba wajue inji ambaye iko na msosano ama mafarakano, hakuna maendeleo yoyote.
The former Army Motor Transport Officer MTO advises young serving soldiers to remain true to country and duty.
Mimi ningetaka discipline ya military ipaki namna ilikuwa, namna tulikuta na namna tuliwacha. Ningependa iendelee hivyo, ndio tuwe na china mzuri ya jeshi ni discipline.
A family man and father of 4 acknowledges his family support for over the 3 decades he served in the army.
As much as nilikuwa natuma pesa, but nilipata bibi mzuri ambaye alijua ya kwamba mzee ako kazi na mzee atarudi nyumbani. Kazi nyingi ni yeye amefanya. Mimi tu nimekuja kumsupport. Na kwa familia kwangu Mungu amenijalia na watoto 4. Niko na wasichana 2 na vijana 2. Jana yangu hakuna mtu yote ametaka military. Asante. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nimeshukuru.
Tinga, who was ailing, passed on a few months after this interview. And even though he's gone, every mile he drove was a testament of his unwavering commitment, dedication. We travel. Rest in peace, Tinga. For me, I'm Ben Troinjue.
DM your boost and your base and tell them that the 77% is on. Today, I want us to talk about our relationships and how we treat each other. If you're not in a relationship, still keep watching. There's something for you too. I'm Mike Luti, your host for today. In the show, we find out what young people say about gender equality in relationships. In Liberia, we ask young 77%ers how they approach relationships